These are the tools that I use to create my mosaics. Now, there are a lot of other tools out there in the marketplace, but this video is not the definitive video on mosaics. It's just to help you sort through and give you the basics of what you need to get started. So what I'll do is I'll run through of what each one of these does, and then that will at least give you a heads up on what you're going to be looking at when you start buying your tools. My go-to tool that I would use for 80% of the time for my mosaics would be my Lippinette double-wheeled nippers. Now these are great for cutting smalty, stained glass, vitreous tiles, crockery, quite a few things, but I wouldn't use them for cutting wall tile or floor tile because they're not really designed for that, and probably they're not really designed for crockery either, but I'm pretty hard on my tools and I do use these for crockery, and I've been using them for years and I haven't had any issue cutting crockery. But that's not to say that they're designed for crockery. Now there has been a new double-wheeled nipper recently released on the market, and I've done a review on them, and that's the Breeder, which are very light compared to these ones, and they're more ergonomically designed to have less stress on your hands. So if you have arthritis or any problems with your hands, then these would be a great nipper for you. Now they're only good for cutting things like stained glass, vitreous tiles, smalty, softer materials. So they're not suitable for cutting crockery and definitely not for wall tile or floor tile. So these are really good. But if I'm starting out mosaics, I'd be going for the Lippinette wheeled nippers first. These are more expensive and well worth the money. But if you start out mosaics, then you decide after a few months that you don't want to keep doing it, well then you've lost a bit of money on these. Whereas if you decide that you don't want to do it and you've bought these, well you're going to have lost a lot more money. So start off with these ones first. They're a good general all-round tool just to begin with, and then you can go further with these ones. Now what I'll do is I'll just show you what to do. Well, this is vitreous tile, so all I'm going to do is put it into the center of its jaws, hold it and just cut. So it's quite easy to use. We've got a glass gem here and cut. Plates, just cut there. Now with plates, sometimes the magic works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's how you cut plates. You just put it on the edge. You don't put it right into it, you just put it on the edge, and I usually hold it on each side and just cut it. So that gives you an idea of what they do. This tool is a tile scorer and cutter. It's suitable for hard tiles such as wall tile and floor tile. So what happens is that it has a wheel on the bottom and you score the tile with it, and you put the tile in between the jaws, and then you push down, making sure that the flanges are on each side of the score line, and it just breaks the tile in half. So we'll give that a bit of a go. I have a tile here, a Johnston tile. So what we'll do is we'll now put the wheel on the edge of it, push firmly down, and that sound you hear is the scoring, and it sounds magic. You hear it on stained glass too when you're using a glass scorer. So there's a score line there. You may not be able to see it, so we'll put the tile in between the jaws, making sure that the flanges are on each side and the score line is actually in the center where it's going to hit that part there, because the idea is that it pushes down evenly on both sides and then just snaps the tile like that. So these are really good if you have a large tile and you need it to break it down into smaller tiles, or you want to do strips of tile. These are really quite handy. But if you've got a lot to do, well then you would get a larger mechanical one rather than small hand ones. Now these ones are called side biter nippers. Now these are used for hard tiles like wall tiles and floor tiles, and the reason why they're called side biters is because one side is flat and the other side is curved. Now with these, they're good for nipping tiles into shapes, or for breaking the tile in half. So you can actually, here's a piece of tile, Johnston tile. So when you're using these, you use theoretically, and I say that because sometimes we adapt tools to suit our needs. So you use this side and you put it in there, just slightly in, and you push hard, it'll cut it along there. Now, they are also good for shaping. So if we want to put this into a shape, a curve, then we just little bites like that. And then that will shape our tile. Now, bear in mind that they are pretty hard on your hands when you're pushing down. So if you have any problems with your hands, you have arthritis, or you have any issues with your hands, then you wouldn't use these because they're just going to be too hard on your hands. Compound nippers. These are actually easier to use, a lot easier to use than your side biters. Because of the way they're designed, there's less pressure required to actually squeeze down on the tile. So therefore, when it comes to your hands, these are going to be a lot easier to use. You use these similar to your side biters. I've got a piece of tile here. And these are good also for cutting along. For instance, if you wanted to cut a straight line across the tile. Well, straight line is a strange word because it depends on the tile itself. Sometimes I'll cut crooked, sometimes I'll cut straight. So it really is dependent on the tile, the making of the tile. So you can do that, or you can use them for shaping. And as I said, these require a lot less effort for shaping. Much easier on your hands than the side biters, but they're also more expensive than side biters. So just keep that in mind. Just put it in the jaws of the mouth and away you go. Okay, so they're called compound nippers. Really good product, works really well. So that's another alternative for your hard tiles, your wall tiles and floor tiles. If you're going to be getting into stained glass to use in your mosaics, then you're going to need a couple of tools. This one here is a Toyo pencil scorer, glass scorer, and I like the Toyo brand. You can get cheaper versions. You can also get different styles. There's also a Toyo pistol grip glass scorer. I prefer this type because I think it gives me more finite control. However, in saying that, the pistol grip ones, a lot of people like that because they feel it gives them also better control, ease of control. So like everything, there are a lot of different brands out there and a lot of different styles. Now this one here is a running pliers. This is where once you've scored it, you then want to break the sheet. So once you've scored it, you put the sheet in here with that round up, and then you then push down on it. And that then breaks right down the score line. Again, there's different ones of these available. I like this particular type. This is the Leponet brand. These are actually quite cheap. I did have the metal ones, but I found them quite hard to use and didn't work correctly for me. Now, maybe I was doing something wrong, but I got rid of them and bought these, and I love these. So what I'm going to do is actually show you a score and a break. So I've got here a piece of stained glass. I'm going to now get the glass scorer, and you'll hear a sound, and it's a magical sound like I said before. And that means when you hear the sound that you're about to hear, that means you're scoring it correctly. You don't want to gouge the glass, but you don't want to do it so light there's no sound. So it's just doing it quite nicely. So you go from one side to the other side. Like that. And there is an actual score line on there. So now what we'll do is we'll get the running pliers, and we put the running pliers so that the score line is on that mark there. And it just you don't put it right in, you just put it on the edge there, and then you push down on it. And it just snaps the glass beautifully. So that's what these two products are used for. There are a lot of different products out there, but these are the two I would be looking at starting out first. Now, all the different products that I've shown you, you don't have to go out and buy them. You only really need to buy what you need. For instance, you'd get the nippers for the wall and tile material. If you're going to go into glass, you'd need something like these two. If you're going to do more mixed media mosaics, then the double-wheeled nippers would suit you. But the double-wheeled nippers will also cut the glass, but it doesn't do straight lines. It'll only cut the glass down in pieces. So once you've done this and you've scored your lines, then you go along, you break it, and then you've got these long lengths of glass. That's where you use your double-wheeled nippers to then break them up if you didn't want to use this again and break them up into smaller lines. Or smaller pieces rather. So you don't have to buy everything, you just need to buy what you need first, and then as you grow in the mosaics or you want to use different materials, that's when you then buy another piece of tool. So don't go out there and buy just everything, just buy to what your budget allows you and what you need to do your first mosaic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, have a look at the other ones in the series Starting in Mosaics. Thank you for watching.